Despite being a filthy role player at heart, I'm actually not really that into questing in the Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, I guess I've done some questing. I've dunked on Molag Bal in the main storyline, I completed the AD questline because Queen Iran, and I've completed a couple of the chapter quests as well. I found that, more than anything, I need some kind of motivation to force myself to trudge through a quest, especially when some of the lines of dialogue are about as entertaining as a slice of bread, and the many dialogue options available for my character to select end up making her out to be a bit daft, which is not canon. What are we doing again? Why are we doing this again? Wait, who are you? Fortunately, some of these grand quests tend to have some kind of fashion-related or financial reward associated with them, like unlocking profitable dailies, or unlocking a new dye, or being rewarded with some kind of valuable piece of gear. I'm going to be briefly talking about this latter notion today. While Skyrim quests could reward you with broken as fuck weapons or pieces of gear, a vast majority of the quests in ESO, especially base game ones, reward you with garbage. Actual trash. However, there are a couple quests that can reward you with unique named weapons or pieces of gear that are a part of an overland set. Some of these roleplay items are even valuable. To be fair, a lot of the DLC quests also do reward you with some pretty sick collectibles, and I think that's worth mentioning. Now, with the whole smart RNG system being implemented, the prices of some pieces of gear have declined significantly, to the point where going out and farming for a specific item to sell on your guild trader may not have been as financially rewarding as it once was. This isn't the case for all sets though, so I definitely would advise that you still price check your items. But my point is, some of these named items that come from certain quests are not nearly as valuable as they used to be. Long ago, you'd be able to receive Mater's Bodkin from the quest in Hrothgar, or the Argonian Muckminder of Mother Sorrow from the quest in Deshaun, and sell them for a considerable amount of gold. Nowadays, due to meta changes, the sticker book, and the curated drop system, this shit just hits different. Regardless, a piece of advice that I'd offer to any new players is to be mindful of some of the pieces of gear that you get from questing, or while questing. While a majority of the shit that you get from quest rewards is worthless, especially if the gear isn't a part of any kind of set, there are some gems hidden in the rough for sure. I'll leave some links below to resources that can walk you through how to get some of these valuable pieces of gear via a quest. A lot of this stuff isn't new, it's common knowledge. But in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to get a pretty valuable piece of gear that not a lot of people are aware of. Allow me to introduce the Armor of the Trainee set. At first glance, this set doesn't look all that impressive. The fact that this set drops from the following starter zones and only in the training trait may further reinforce this stance. However, the set is actually pretty valuable when it comes to creating a PvP build. Should you decide to forego a monster mask and instead use a mythic item, for example, you may find that you're left with an empty gear slot, so the one-piece health bonus from the set can come in handy here. As of recording this video, Trainee is the only set that has a one-piece bonus. While Trainee can drop in all kinds of different armor weights, oftentimes players gravitate towards utilizing a heavy Trainee chest. If you're opting for using some heavy armor in your PvP build, you'll want a heavy chest anyways, seeing as this is the biggest piece of gear with the greatest armor rating. But of course, you're not going to want to be wearing training gear in PvP, so you'll want to use some of your transmutation stones to retransmute it to a better trait. A lot of PvPers prefer running a reinforced trait on their heavy chest, so that they get the most bang for their buck, given how the reinforced trait works. But wait, what if I told you that you didn't have to retransmute that already kind of expensive cuirass of the Trainee? What if I told you that you could get a reinforced Trainee cuirass just from doing a bit of role-playing? Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. If you complete the main storyline in Stros M'Kai, you'll actually be rewarded with a roleplay item called the Gallant Chain. This is a heavy Trainee cuirass in the reinforced trait, and as you can see, you can sell this bad boy for a lot of gold. To get started on this quest, talk to Captain Kayleen by the shipping ports of Port Hunding. She'll send you on a mission to locate some of her missing crewmates. You'll be sent to a bunch of different locations across this small island and be tasked with completing a few errands. I won't spoil too much of this quest so that you guys can experience it for yourselves. I completed this questline with a friend of mine, and despite taking some time to pause and film some scenic shots for this video, get lost on occasion, and also allocate a bit of time towards partaking in a little ERP, we managed to breeze through the entire Strosmakai main questline in about an hour and a half. I think that if you were to speedrun this shit, you could definitely finish it sub 1 hour, maybe even 30 minutes if you go sicko mode. And alas, at the end of our journey in Strosmakai, we received the Gallant Chain. Receiving this much gold as a result of an hour and a half of our time in the game is pretty reasonable, I'd say, especially given the fact that we were goofing off in the VC and not really trying to speed through it. Overland quests are also incredibly easy to complete, and absolutely beginner-friendly, in the sense that you don't have to defeat some kind of difficult enemy or anything like that. Honestly, even the biggest, baddest enemies in the DLC quest would get practically one-shotted if it weren't for their health-gated immunity mechanics. This makes this quest, and any other quest that may offer you a valuable piece of gear, an incredibly accessible means to make gold. Now, to be fair, depending on how many people see this video and however many from that pool of people decide to do anything about it and actually go ahead and farm this quest for themselves, and depending on how much undercutting goes on and whether or not any absolutely insane meta changes occur that would make this piece of gear no longer viable or in demand, there may very well come a time where, like Mater's Bodkin, like the Argonian Muckminder staff, this piece of gear too falls into the pits of irrelevancy, and this quest will no longer be an easy get-rich-quick scheme. But for the time being, it just might be able to help you out a little. And if there's anything to truly take away from this, it's the fact that quests like this exist. If making gold is something that is of importance to you, you should highly consider understanding the worth of the items that you pick up in Tamriel, a notion that is highly related to understanding the use of said items. Next time you get a piece of gear from a quest, named or not, consider if that set comes from one that is regularly used in PvE or PvP. Keeping up with meta changes and watching videos from Nephis, Skinny Cheeks, or your favorite PvP content creators will absolutely aid you in this regard. It's also why I can't exactly just present you guys with a list and go, here you go, here are the best pieces of gear to sell at all times, because that list is ever changing. Sometimes a set is valuable for several patches at a time because it continues to remain a strong option for some particular kind of ESO content. And sometimes a set is valuable for literally only a week or two, as is the case if a set is overperforming, or actually bugged out and not working as intended. Obviously, once these sets get fixed, they're no longer in demand. The best in-slot traits for pieces of gear are also incredibly subject to change every patch. Lucked, who some of you may recognize as that one crazy motherfucker who solos VDLC dungeon trifectas, made a fortune farming Vardenfell world bosses and selling Divine's Warmaiden gear a little over a month ago on PCNA. Especially because he had tailored his smart RNG to only give him Warmaiden gear drops, as opposed to any of the other less valuable sets that can drop here. At the time, there weren't many pieces of Divine's Warmaiden available on the market either, and because it's a valuable and highly sought after set, he could get away with charging so much for his Warmaiden body pieces. But as soon as the Daedric Celebration event rolled around, he stopped farming these world bosses because he knew that the Warmaiden market would get saturated from the event, promoting gameplay in Vardenfell, where this set drops. Sure enough, when the Daedric Celebration event dropped, so too did the prices of Warmaiden gear, as everyone and their mother's dog started listing the gear that they got while doing world boss quests. Someone who may not have known much about what made Warmaiden so expensive, nor why they were suddenly observing such cheap Warmaiden gear on the traders, may have very well made the mistake of seeing all of these cheap-ass pieces of Divine's Warmaiden gear and thought to themselves, holy shit, look at all this cheap crap, I'm gonna buy all of this to flip right now. They'd be sorely mistaken if they tried this. Kind of reminds me of Sawman telling everyone to invest in key fragments right before a PvP event was set to drop. I highly encourage adopting this attitude of making an effort to understand the worth of your items, as well as why they're valuable, early on in your ESO career, if making gold is something that you think you like to participate in while playing this game. Ask yourself, is this item valuable? If so, why? And for how long will it be? It's gonna take you some time, but once you start to understand what makes certain pieces of gear in particular so popular, you can really start to tap into the gear selling market, which I've found to be an incredibly profitable one. Eventually, you may even find yourself setting the prices for pieces of gear, as opposed to following the price suggestions that your trading add-ons serve you. If you aren't there yet, and you're struggling to understand a lot of the foundations of the game, then I wouldn't recommend getting into the gear selling business just yet, especially because I've seen countless people make mistakes and lose gold as a result of it. But as you work your way up to CP 160, the gear cap, definitely take the time to check out some of these amazing guides made by amazing creators so you're well prepared to start making cash money from selling gear. And definitely leave this Stroh's Mackay quest alone until you reach CP 160. You don't want to accidentally get a level 14 Gallant Chain. And that's all for this video. If you choose to check out this quest as a means to make gold, I hope that you'll be able to benefit from this endeavor as much as I did. And if this is no longer such a good use of your time for one reason or another, I hope that my words of wisdom about taking the time to understand the value of your items can aid you financially in your future adventures in Tamriel. If you need any help further understanding if your piece of gear is valuable, besides price checking on TTC, or consulting your preferred trading add-on, or searching guild stores if you play on console, you could also consider joining my Discord server. We have price spots available, as well as some pretty active PvE and PvP channels where players discuss what pieces of gear they're personally using in their builds. You may be able to get some pointers simply from reading these conversations. Thank you guys for watching this video, and thank you to my YouTube members for sponsoring my content. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers!